me. End of 1989. It was Starcade 89.
Mm-hmm.
I always like to point out that Hulk was doing the wild thing, brother.
Yeah, he certainly was.
Hulkamania was running wild. For real, it was. So after Kenji, the Great Muta, got beat 3 times at Starcade, where, like, what was Dad's plans? Like what was going? Like, we know Dad eventually quit the company WCW, but where, you talked to him more about this than I ever did.
Well, do you
Like,
remember? Do you remember the night that happened when he came back? When he came back home
from Starcade?
Yes.
No, I remember we were living in Atlanta that time, and no, I don't remember.
He came back upstairs, walked in. I said, "What happened?" He said, "They beat him all 3 times." And because Dad didn't discuss the business unless we discussed it with him, but we were always interested.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you talked to him more about it.
Oh, this is what back then. This was in '89.
I know.
And like we were saying a couple of days ago, when that promo rolled for the first Starcade, for not the first one, but which was ultimately the last one Dad ever worked. He worked the first one too. When the promos were going for this Night of the Iron Man, everybody will wrestle 3 times, and you don't have to be that smart to see as a 12-year-old kid. All right, I knew as a 12-year-old kid that if this guy lost, that was finished. It was over with, because whenever you are built someone as undefeated and he can't lose, what is that?
Right.
Even the Hulk Hogan lost.
Right.
The right way, though, brother.
Right.
Slipped on a banana peel.
Yeah. So
I knew it wasn't a good thing, because Dad came back upstairs and said they beat him all 3 times. Now, we came out home to Texas the night after, because now a lot of people don't know this. As Dad and Kenji are leaving the building that night,
the Omni Starcade,
Ricky said, "Hey, I need you in Detroit tomorrow night." And Dad said, "Oh, you going to drop the belt to him?" And Rick goes, "No." And Dad goes, "No." So Dad no-showed Detroit, even though he had told them that he was going to be in Texas with us for 2 weeks. So we drive home, and I do not blame, like I said, I love Ric Flair. I do not blame him for this. This was all Jim Hurt's fault. Now, we drive home to Texas to see some of our family on Mom's side, and I know that something is not right. I mean, Dad's got a pocket full of cash, a lot of money, and our cousin had asked my mom and my dad, she goes, "When are you guys coming back to stay?" Dad said, "Won't be for a while." And I said to myself, based on by what I heard happened last night, it's going to be pretty soon. Yeah. I knew that the jig was up, because number one, when your whole thing is undefeated. Look what happened to Mike Tyson when he lost. That was over with. That spins us into this, the thing that happened the night or before the Mike Tyson fight, the big show in Tokyo, which is the only reason why we stayed in Atlanta after Dad no-showed Baltimore, because he's going to get arrested, Greensboro, Richmond, and Atlanta. So how can a guy get fired if he stops showing up? Sorry, Meltzer, he quit.
So after Starcade 89, Dad's future was kind of fuzzy there, I guess. He's very
clear to me.
Yeah. So there was supposed to have been a Japan trip for Dad and Muta.
Yes.
And they were going to go work with Flair in Japan. Is that right?
Yeah, because it was the night before or after the Mike Tyson fight. February of 90. It's a super card. They actually had the card there itself. I think Larry Zbyszko, the great Larry Zbyszko, the living legend, he headlined it with Mr. Saito. It was a super card, because they would do that in Japan. And I think they had a couple guys from the AWA, because I think Larry had the AWA belt at that time. Last great AWA champion, actually, to be honest. And Kenji was supposed to wrestle Ric Flair for the title. It was going to be his homecoming, because in November of '89, Inoki, Sakaguchi, and a few others were in Atlanta, and they thanked Dad for what he had done for Kenji, making him a star, getting him over. And they said, we want Muta's debut to be in February of '89 at the Super Show we're going to do, and we want
February
you to come
'90.
February of '90 to come over and do the show. $10,000 was what Dad was going to get. Dad said, "I'm all for that." That was in November '89, and then by the time we got to February, Dad had already quit.
Right.
Kenji had already been displaced because he got beat 3 times in a row, but he was still supposed to go work with Ricky
What were they going to do? What do you know? What, like, between him and Flair, what were they going to switch the belt?
Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not, though they could have, but nobody would have seen it in America because nobody knew about this in America.
So what happened with that? Why?
Well, Rick disputed that he had to go over there. It wasn't to dig back at Dad. It was a contractual dispute with Jim Herd because Ricky hadn't been over there to defend the title since like 1986. Right. And he was like, well, I don't want to go over there for, this amount of money. He wanted more. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I'm not going to go. And so then Muta said, well, Gary, maybe if Rick doesn't go, maybe we don't go. And Dad went, well, it doesn't really matter who we wrestle. They're coming to see you. Mm-hmm. I think Lex Luger had agreed to do it. I think Sting agreed to do it. It wouldn't have really mattered who wrestled. It was going to be his homecoming. And Kenji said, well, if Rick doesn't go and the office doesn't want to send anybody, then I don't think we should go. And Dad said, okay, fine. So then Dad was expecting a 10 grand payoff. And instead of leaving with that, Dad just shook Kenji's hand and said, take care of the gimmick and you're going to make a fortune. And that's what happened.
Yeah. So somebody had commented on one of the videos because we had mentioned, or I don't remember, maybe it was I had mentioned that Dad and Flair were having problems, or that Dad, they weren't getting along. So to answer his question, a lot of it had to do with the direction of pretty much what was going to be done with Kenji is what it was all surface, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But that was not all Rick.
Right.
And like Rick not going over there wasn't a dig at Dad or Kenji. That was because contractually, I mean, Rick hadn't been there to defend the title, I think, since like 86.
Right.
So a lot of Jim Herd being put in position is what caused all of the problems.
Everybody was kind of fighting.
Everybody was mad at everybody. Because if you look at and this is a cool story to show how there was no heat between Dad and Rick. When Dad had left and Ricky finally showed up in New York, what did Dad say?
Dad was happy he was there.
Dad said he finally got tired of Herd.
Yeah.
So, woo!